So I would like to make a short interview about your text that you wrote, inspired with drawings by our artist friend Predrag Damjanovic. He made drawings that are on paper. They are cutouts on paper representing people in a yellow protective suits. The drawings were made during the different time. During the referring to Ebola situation, but I think they can be applied also to this situation. So, like, you were inspired, giving your own view on what we see when we look at his drawings attached to a wall as an installation. They look like they're floating and dancing, but we don't see what they're doing actually. They just wear these weird yellow suits, but there is no actually consequences that we can see what they're like doing. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about how did you start looking at the drawings and what was your inspiration to write the text.
Well, I remember one of the interviews that I recently heard. Slavoj Žižek, the Slovenian philosopher, said this situation with COVID, it's, speaking in Hegelist terms, the attack of abstract negativity, and that struck me. Like it seems like that. Also, Pedro's work reminded me of that. I didn't have this notion of abstract negativity at that time, but I think it fits the premise, because the whole idea when he presented his work and explaining them, it occurred to me that actually the whole the gravitas, the momentum of the work is in the empty space. It's in what we don't see in the work, and what we don't see is not what is presented, and it's usually the dead bodies that those workers in yellow suits have to carry, and whatever it's their job to do with. But it was not that second object, which is the dead body, is the thing that we should be talking about, that which is missing. It is the banal thing. Dead bodies are just the banal thing. If you present them in the work, in contrast to the yellow workers, that wouldn't be very interesting. But actually the third object is missing. And what is missing, let's put it in the words of Žižek, abstract negativity, can be seen, it's in effects, and the effects of that kind of negativity are the workers, are the suits, are the effects presented in our trying to taking care of ourselves from the danger or presupposed danger, in taking measures like prevent any connection, any contact with the other, by wearing the suits, by keeping the distance, by maintaining ritualistic behavior in order to minimize the danger, and so on and so on.
I'm also curious to ask you your point of view about these costumes. Costumes like these protective suits, that they can be viewed as some type of a mask or a costume. So what do you think about those?
Yeah, it occurred to me that the whole presentation of his work has that folkloric feel, like carnival type of behavior, and like any mask, it's an identity frozen in object, in time, in space, in image and object, that it presents identity that might as well never existed, but it is always presupposed again and again in each time it is presented. So of course the yellow suits are not still in the folkloric tradition. They might be after the situation of COVID, you never know, but yeah, they resembled me. The whole presentation, the whole scenery looks like a carnival, looks like a dance, like a nice suits, like people having fun. But
which
what's
is
the,
like an irony. And
yeah, which is an irony. The backstory of it is people not having fun at all.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. And in that way, like, what do you mean with this identity that's presupposed? Or you mentioned something like...
Well, we can take any uniform as an example. Like, you put a person in any uniform of whatever uniform it is, let's say military uniform, you have a soldier, you put any person, just a regular person in it, and it becomes a soldier of that country. So it becomes representative of a nation. So you just use one particular person, put it in a uniform, it becomes universal representative of whatever it represents. So in that way, any kind of mask, which uniform is a sort of, is a fixed identity. It stays fixed in time, like I said, and it presents something, but I'm not sure that that identity, which it represents, ever existed with a texture of meaning that we create each time we talk about it. I think the identity creates itself every given time, so it never existed, it always exists in the present. So that's why we use masks.
Yeah, that's an interesting point of view. And in that way, like, this new situation is creating new identities for the future. Like, with wearing masks, people were actually creating new types of aesthetics, and they are already being creative, like wearing these colorful masks, not just like useful, like just not for only for the purpose, but they're also trying to attach part of their identity to it by wearing different type of masks.
Yeah, it would be really a shame if the masks would become a part of our trend, like the male suit and tie and everything. It's stuck for centuries now, and it represents a uniform for man to present itself at work, wherever, some
like business.
official situations, and it would be a shame that we now have to add to that a mask, because we are stuck to the new form of living. But it might happen. It's happening. I mean, people are reacting to it fast. People are reacting to every change and normalizing it really fast. So you can see now on the streets that people are using different kind of masks. At first, they were just those surgical, stupid looking, greenish, white, whatever they are. Now they are using colors like black, or people are doing their own masks like you do. So it's becoming a trend. Yeah, it's interesting that people are trying to normalize the situation, and if it continues, like if it becomes a new normal, that it will become a canonized trend. It will become a part of the mask, part of the folklore or identity.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.